Hey y'all, Instinct Survivalist coming again with another 2-Tip Tuesday. This time we'll be talking about triangles and twig bundles. So let's get started on that. So triangles, let's talk about the fire triangle. Now some of this may be a refresher to many of you, and some it may be new, never heard of it, heard about it, or maybe something of that nature, right? So the fire triangle involves oxygen, heat, and fuel. Without those three components, guess what? No fire. So how do we know what to do, when to do, where to do it, and all that jazz? When we look at the overall pieces and parts of it, oxygen is kind of the main component. Without that, you're just sitting in a vacuum, right? It's just a vacuum. I've got fuel and I got heat. It doesn't light, right? Doesn't matter how much the heat is, doesn't matter anything else, it's not going to burn. Now, the same thing is, if I don't have fuel, something to burn, all the oxygen and all the heat in the world is not going to do anything. It's just there. It's in a vacuum again. And then the last of that is, if we don't have a heat source, i.e. ferro rod, lighter, flame, whatever you want to look at, it's not going to burn like it needs to, right? It's just not. So I've got oxygen already going, I've got fuel, but there's no heat, which means no fire. So keep that in mind when you start looking at the different portions and parts. The clapping is because my dog is trying to eat my lunch. So like, get out of the fire pit, you can't have it. All right, so we're gonna talk about Twig Bundle Fire, right? A Twig Bundle Fire. I've saved some time. I've gone ahead and gathered the twigs. If you're not familiar in how I'm gathering these, look at the one on collecting standing deadwood. Okay, and that's what we're doing. We're looking at the point of we're getting rain. We've got rain. We're soaked here in Georgia. It's just the way it goes. And so I still need a fire. In doing so, the way that I do that is I collect standing deadwood. Whether it is dry limbs themselves, i.e. what I've got here, or actual trees that we've broken off or broken down or what have you. So we use that as part of our fuel, exactly. Now, what you're gonna need for this experiment, if you will, is a bunch of twigs. Keeping in mind, we always look at the smalls, the mediums, and the larges. I've got them all combined in here with the exception of the largest. It's more the smalls and the mediums. And what we're gonna do is we have to have those, kind of a combination of such. If you have a bunch of smalls, that's fine. Just keep in mind that we're looking at something the size of a basketball, okay? If you don't know how big that is, it's about this big. So take your head, and here you go, about that size. Smaller is fine, larger is fine, but about that size as being a central thing. The only other thing that you're required to have is a tinder bundle. And this is distressed pine straw, so if you need to, go back and look at the pine straw video. The optional item that you have to have, or might want to have, is cordage. And the benefit of that is now we take all of this, and you'll see when we put it all together, right, is actually bringing that together. Now, why do you have to have cordage? You don't, again, have to have it. I do because it makes it easier to manipulate, manage, what have you. Oh, you're gonna burn up your cord. If I have extra, that's what I'm gonna use. If I don't have extra, it's a limited resource, keep that in mind, I won't use that. Woodpecker's going off, lovely. Okay, so let's move to the fire pit and we're gonna actually ignite this and I'm gonna show you how this works. Stay tuned for that. Okay, so hopefully I can get this done without another plane flying overhead. That's 4 since we started. Anyway, the biggest part of this is now taking and putting all the pieces together and making it work. We have to have our tinder bundle, of course, and it is dry. How do I know? Because I know where it came from, and I've either pulled it from a nest or I've kept it dry or what have you, knowing about my next fire. Putting it all together, we have to determine where we're gonna put it inside the tinder bundle, or the twig bundle. Inside the twig bundle, we need to make sure we've got room to fit it down in there. Now, my opinion, and pretty logically so, we want to put it closest to the smalls. So I know that here is smalls, here is smalls, and there's another airplane. We want to probably put it in this area here. Now, I don't know if you can see that real well, but we're going to put it down close to here because this is where all the smalls are. Then, once we do that, we're going to flip it upside down so that fire climbs up the tinder bundle and the twig bundle itself. Fair enough? So, without walking through each step verbally, I want to show you how to do it. We'll strike our tinder bundle. Good to go. Not worried about flipping it over just yet, because remember, we're going to flip our twig bundle over too. So now if I do that, so the biggest thing was, am I going to burn myself or not? And I made it to where fire is going to climb both up the twig bundle and up the twig bundle, so both directions, hopefully. Now, remember the fire triangle. What is not happening is I've got smoke, I don't have enough oxygen. We'll open this up just a little bit, which loosens that twig bundle or tinder bundle up as well. And now I see that I've got twigs are actually starting to catch on fire. So again, that's the importance of that fire triangle. Remember, fuel, I have the heat, I have the fuel, I didn't have the oxygen. So I was getting a whole bunch of smoke. It's actually putting my fire out. Now, if we look at it, not needing a whole lot of explanation, you start hearing the popping. I'm just going to maneuver it so I can keep it in the fire pit, because lunch is ready to be cooked. Now, I did this in at one of the Georgia bushcraft events, and built it, put it in, and I had a couple of people say, is that going to work? Well, yeah, it works just by flat physics alone. But when you start looking at how big it is and can I adjust it and should I adjust it or what have you, it's based off of what I'm trying to accomplish. I was just trying to heat coffee then, just trying to cook my lunch today. Don't really need anything bigger. I see it's going. And the other side about the cordage, just as a note for that, when it burns, it pops, and what happens, or pops open if you will, and it loosens up that tinder bundle, the twig bundle a little bit. And the benefit of that is more oxygen. So you see now I've got a fire that's high enough, I don't have to worry about it. I can go and do what I need to do. If I need to grab bigger pieces now, that's fine. I start laying wet wood along the sides and it'll start drying out. So that's it, folks. Hey guys, thanks for all you do. Thanks for all your likes, comments, subscribes, and comments. And use your instincts to survive. Thanks for watching. It's got pepper in it. You can't have it. Get. That's why I can't trap any squirrels around here.